Why do some people achieve everything they set their minds to, while others stay stuck in the same place for years, making excuse after excuse? Why do some individuals break through obstacles, rise to the top, and accomplish what seems impossible, while others struggle just to get through the day? Is it talent? Is it luck? Or is it something deeper, something that separates the strong from the weak, the productive from the distracted, the self-disciplined from the easily swayed? The truth is this: talent and luck mean nothing without the power of discipline. The most successful people in the world, whether they're elite athletes, billionaires, military commanders, or disciplined artists, didn't rely on fleeting emotions or motivation. They built their lives on consistency, focus, and self-leadership. They understood the importance of discipline, not just for success, but for self-mastery, mental toughness, and long-term personal growth. And yet, most people fail, not because they're incapable or unintelligent, but because they never train their brain to resist distraction. They never develop the habits or build the inner strength needed to control impulses, stay focused, or stick to a plan. Instead, they rely on quick highs, random affirmations, or the excitement of a motivational video, only to crash the next day. They lack structure, time management, and the self-control to delay gratification. Motivation by itself is a lie. It's not enough. It doesn't last. Motivation may give you a good start, but only discipline keeps you moving. And without it, you're at the mercy of your moods, constantly swaying between hope and procrastination. That's why so many people fail to keep promises to themselves, especially students, people battling emotional burnout, or those dealing with ADHD, addiction, or even depression. But here's the secret: discipline is a skill. Like learning the piano or lifting weights, it can be strengthened through practice, through daily effort, through habit stacking, morning routines, and creating a lifestyle that reinforces self-restraint. It's how you begin to master yourself, your mind, and your attention. You create rituals that help you stay on track, develop resilience, and replace bad habits with positive behavior patterns. In this video, we'll break down the science of self-control, how to build extreme discipline, stay consistent, and apply self-discipline techniques that are used by the world's most successful people. You'll learn how to overcome laziness, plan your day like a coach designs training for an athlete, and create reward-based hacks that keep you motivated. You'll also understand how concepts like delayed gratification, goal setting, commitment, and responsibility impact your ability to succeed, not just in career or fitness, but in your life as a student, a Christian, a parent, a man, or a child forming character in the classroom. Yes, this applies to all ages, from children's behavior in schools to adults struggling with breakup recovery or finding meaning in life. Because discipline equals freedom. It gives you control over your day, your mind, and your future. It brings happiness, not through shortcuts, but through earned success. Through becoming consistent, you build confidence, shape your identity, and gain the power to design your life instead of just reacting to it. Everywhere you look, the modern world is at war with discipline. Society is engineered to destroy focus and feed weakness. People are trained by tech to be passive, addicted, and dependent. But those who build discipline, those who say no excuses, who build habits, stay focused, and control their thoughts and emotions, become unshakable. Think about it. The moment your alarm rings, your brain seeks comfort. Social media, sugar, noise. Discipline is the shield. Without it, your mind is hijacked before you've even brushed your teeth. And that's not just a theory. It's behavioral science, proven in every study of student performance, delayed gratification, and even children's emotional regulation. You must reclaim your mind. Practice effort over ease. Choose the hard path when everyone else chooses the shortcut. Wake up with intention, breathe with purpose, and live with commitment. As the quote says, discipline beats motivation when motivation fails. This is not just about goals, it's about identity. about becoming someone who stays on track, who masters mindset, who builds strength in solitude, someone who builds discipline, consistency, and character, day by day, breath by breath, choice by choice. Because discipline is destiny. Think about how easy life has become. Food can be delivered to your door in minutes without you even leaving your couch. Any question that comes to mind can be answered instantly with a quick Google search. If you feel bored, you don't have to sit with your thoughts. You can escape into endless entertainment with just one tap. Everything is designed to make life easier, and on the surface, that seems like a good thing. But in reality, it is destroying your ability to stay disciplined. Look around. How many people do you see that are truly in control of their own lives? How many people wake up every day with discipline, purpose, and unshakable focus? The answer is almost none. Most people are slaves to their own impulses, ruled by distraction, and completely incapable of staying committed to anything for more than a few days. And that is why discipline is rare. That is why successful people stand out. Because in a world where everyone is addicted to weakness, the ones who master discipline become unstoppable. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You are not entitled to success. You are not entitled to a great body, a strong mind, or an extraordinary life. Those things must be earned. And the only way to earn them is through discipline. If you continue living like the average person, distracted, lazy, and addicted to comfort, you will get exactly what the average person gets. A life of mediocrity, regret, and untapped potential. But if you make the decision to break free from the system, to cut out distractions, to reject instant gratification, to push yourself even when you don't feel like it, then you will separate yourself from the weak, and you will step into the rare group of people who actually accomplish great things. So ask yourself, are you in control of your mind, or is the world controlling it for you? Are you actively building discipline every day, or are you slowly letting it slip away? Because in this war against discipline, you are either winning or losing, and the choice is entirely yours. Discipline is not just about willpower or motivation. It is about how your brain is wired. Most people struggle with self-control not because they are weak, but because their brains have been trained to crave instant gratification. The human brain is a complex system, built to seek rewards, avoid pain, and conserve energy. Understanding how it works is the key to mastering discipline and breaking free from the cycle of distraction and weakness. At the core of every habit, every action, and every decision you make is a chemical in your brain called dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical, but that is not entirely accurate. It is not just about feeling good, it is about wanting more. It is the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, anticipation, and craving. Every time you experience something pleasurable, eating junk food, watching a video, scrolling through social media, your brain releases dopamine, reinforcing the behavior and making you want to do it again. In the past, dopamine was primarily triggered by things that required effort. Hunting for food, building shelter, solving problems. Our ancestors had to work for their rewards. But in today's world, dopamine is hijacked by modern technology, designed to give instant pleasure with zero effort. Think about how social media works. You open your phone, and within seconds, you are bombarded with new content. Videos, comments, likes, and notifications. Every swipe, every tap, every interaction gives you a small dopamine hit. Your brain starts associating scrolling with pleasure, and before you know it, hours have passed, and you have accomplished nothing. The same thing happens with junk food. Processed foods are engineered to trigger massive dopamine spikes, far beyond what natural foods provide. Instead of working to prepare a healthy meal, you can just grab a bag of chips, and your brain gets rewarded instantly. The result: your ability to delay gratification weakens, and your discipline erodes. Over time, this constant exposure to easy dopamine changes the way your brain works. The more you indulge in instant gratification, the less capable you become of handling discomfort. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and long-term planning, starts to weaken. This is why most people struggle to stay disciplined. Their brains have been rewired to chase pleasure and avoid effort. But here's the good news. Just as your brain can be trained to seek instant gratification, it can also be trained to seek discipline. The key is to take control of your dopamine system. Instead of letting cheap dopamine control your life, you must reset your brain's reward system and make discipline the most rewarding thing in your life. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through dopamine fasting. Dopamine fasting is the process of cutting out all artificial stimulation, social media, junk food, mindless entertainment, and forcing your brain to reset. When you remove these distractions, your brain begins to recalibrate, making real accomplishments, like working out, studying, or building something, feel rewarding again. Another key method is habit formation. Every habit you have, good or bad, is formed through repetition. When you repeatedly choose discipline over distraction, your brain physically changes. The neural pathways that reinforce instant gratification weaken, and the pathways that reinforce self-control strengthen. Studies show that disciplined individuals have a stronger prefrontal cortex, giving them greater control over their impulses. This is why highly disciplined people can work for hours without getting distracted, push through discomfort without quitting, and make long-term decisions that lead to success. They have trained their brains to work for them instead of against them. Most people assume that disciplined individuals are just different or built that way. But the truth is, discipline is not a personality trait. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed. The more you train your brain to resist temptation and delay gratification, the easier it becomes. Over time, discipline becomes your default setting. But make no mistake, this process is not easy. In the beginning, rewiring your brain for discipline will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will crave the old habits, the easy dopamine, the mindless distractions. You will feel restless, bored, and even frustrated. But this is exactly why most people never develop true discipline. Because they cannot handle the discomfort of breaking free from their old patterns. If you can push through this phase, if you can stay disciplined even when every part of you wants to give up, you will come out on the other side with a brain that works differently from everyone else's. You will have a mind that craves progress instead of comfort, that seeks challenge instead of escape, that thrives under pressure instead of breaking under it. Most people will never rewire their brains for discipline because it is easier to stay weak. But if you are willing to put in the work, if you are willing to reset your dopamine system and train your mind like a warrior, then you will unlock a level of self-mastery that most people will never experience. And once you reach that level, nothing will be able to stop you. Most people never master discipline, not because they are incapable, but because they refuse to confront the real reasons behind their failure. They blame their circumstances, their past, their genetics, or their environment, but at the core of it all, the truth is simple. They choose comfort over challenge. They take the easy path when things get hard, and over time, this becomes their default way of living. One of the most common excuses people make for their lack of discipline is the idea that they are just not naturally disciplined. They look at successful people and assume they were born with some special ability to stay focused, resist temptation, and push through discomfort. But discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you train, just like a muscle. If you never work that muscle, it remains weak. If you rely on motivation to get things done, you will fail every time because motivation is temporary, but discipline is permanent. Another major reason people fail to build discipline is the fear of discomfort. The human brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure, and in the modern world, that means avoiding anything that feels difficult. People tell themselves that waking up early is too hard, that working out is exhausting, that cutting out distractions is impossible. But what they do not realize is that every time they choose comfort over challenge, they reinforce weakness. They make it harder to break free from the cycle of procrastination, avoidance, and self-sabotage. Think about the last time you set a goal and gave up. Maybe you started going to the gym but quit after a few weeks. Maybe you planned to wake up early but hit snooze every morning. Maybe you promised yourself you would study, work on your business, or improve a skill, but distractions kept pulling you away. The problem was not that you were incapable. The problem was that you waited for motivation instead of developing discipline. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you feel inspired, and other days you feel exhausted. But disciplined people do not care about how they feel. They do what needs to be done no matter what. People sabotage their own progress because they expect discipline to feel good. They assume that once they develop discipline, everything will be easy, that they will wake up every day full of energy, ready to attack their goals. But real discipline is about showing up even when everything in you wants to quit. It is about training your mind to obey you, instead of letting your emotions dictate your actions. If you only take action when you feel like it, you are controlled by weakness. Society has conditioned people to believe that everything should be easy. Every app, every piece of entertainment, every product is designed to make life more convenient, to remove struggle, to eliminate effort. And that is exactly why most people fail to develop discipline. They have become addicted to ease. They do not push themselves because they do not have to. The moment something requires real effort, they back down. But this is the exact reason why disciplined people dominate. Because while everyone else is looking for shortcuts, they are willing to put in the work. Most people do not even realize how much they are capable of because they have never truly tested themselves. They have never pushed their limits, never challenged their minds, never faced real discomfort on purpose. They stay in their comfort zones, doing what is easy, and then they wonder why they never achieve anything extraordinary. Ask yourself this. How many times have you given up on something just because it was hard? How many times have you told yourself, I will start tomorrow, and then never followed through? How many times have you let distractions, laziness, or fear stop you from becoming the person you know you are capable of being? It is time to stop making excuses. It is time to stop waiting for motivation, stop avoiding hard things, and stop choosing comfort over growth. If you want to master discipline, you must become the kind of person who acts, no matter how they feel, who does the work, even when they do not want to, who pushes through resistance, no matter how difficult it gets. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It is the ability to stay disciplined when things get hard, to keep going when they are tired, to focus when they are tempted to quit. Most people will never develop this ability because they are not willing to face the discomfort required to build it. But if you are willing to embrace the struggle, if you are willing to push through the excuses, if you are willing to train yourself to be disciplined no matter what, then you will separate yourself from the weak and you will become unstoppable. Most people see discipline as a form of restriction, a set of rules that take away their freedom. Imagine a person who has no financial discipline. They spend money recklessly, never save, never invest. They buy things they do not need just to feel good in the moment. Over time, they accumulate debt. They stress about money every day. They feel trapped in a job they hate, working just to survive, with no options, no power, no control. Is that freedom? No, that is slavery to financial weakness. But now imagine someone who is disciplined with their money. They live below their means, they save, they invest, they build wealth step by step. Eventually, they reach a point where they do not have to work for a paycheck. They can travel, pursue their passions, take risks, and live life on their own terms. That is real freedom, and it was built through discipline. The same applies to health. A person who lacks discipline in their diet and fitness lives at the mercy of their cravings. They eat whatever they want, whenever they want. They avoid exercise because it is uncomfortable. Over time, their body weakens. They feel sluggish, exhausted, and powerless. Their energy is low, their confidence is shattered, and they develop health problems that limit their life. They are not free. They are prisoners of their own bad habits. But the disciplined person takes control. They train their body, they eat clean, they develop strength and endurance. And because of this, they have more energy, more confidence, more vitality. They can move through life with power, capable of taking on any challenge. That is true freedom, the ability to use your body at its highest potential without limitations. Look at the most successful people in history: entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, warriors. Every single one of them achieved greatness through discipline. Elon Musk did not build Tesla and SpaceX by being lazy and waiting for inspiration. He works over 100 hours a week, structuring every moment of his time with precision. Michael Jordan did not become the greatest basketball player by practicing when he felt like it. He trained harder than anyone else, every single day, pushing his body and mind to the limits. Writers, musicians, military leaders, anyone who has ever mastered a skill, built an empire, or left a legacy did so through relentless discipline. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about power. It is about having control over your actions, your emotions, and your future. People who lack discipline wake up every day reacting to life, letting their mood dictate their choices. But disciplined people wake up and decide how their day will go. They do not let distractions, temptations, or laziness control them. They move with purpose. They execute their plans. They take full ownership of their time and energy. And because of this, they are truly free. Think about any area of life where you feel stuck or powerless. Maybe it is your health, your finances, your relationships, or your career. Now ask yourself, is it because you truly have no control? Or is it because you have not been disciplined enough to take control? The answer is always discipline. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a victim of your own inability to stay focused, to be consistent, to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term success. The world wants you to believe that freedom comes from doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But that is a lie. True freedom comes from mastery. When you master your body, you are free from physical weakness. When you master your mind, you are free from stress, anxiety, and fear. When you master your work ethic, you are free from financial struggles. The more disciplined you become, the more control you have. And the more control you have, the more freedom you gain. This is why so few people in the world are truly free. Most people are ruled by their emotions, their impulses, their bad habits. They think they are free because they have no structure, no routine, no rules. But in reality, they are just lost. They are being pulled in every direction by external forces, advertisements, social media, peer pressure, addictions. They are constantly chasing comfort, which only leads to deeper misery. If you want to be free, take back control. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop making excuses. Stop choosing comfort over discipline. Every time you choose discipline, you take back a piece of your power. Every time you push through resistance, you become stronger. Every time you stay focused when others give in to distraction, you separate yourself from the weak. The strongest, most successful people are not the ones who do whatever they feel like. They are the ones who do what must be done, no matter how they feel. They are the ones who control their actions, their decisions, their destiny. They do not rely on luck. They create their own luck. They do not wait for opportunities. They build them through relentless effort. You must ask yourself, do you want to be free, truly free? Free from financial stress, free from weakness, free from regret? If the answer is yes, then you already know the solution. Discipline is the key. Discipline is the weapon. Discipline is the price of freedom. Pay the price now, or spend the rest of your life as a slave to your own weaknesses. The choice is yours. Weakness is not something you are born with. It is something that is built over time, through small choices, small excuses, and small moments of surrender. Every time you let yourself off the hook, every time you choose comfort over discipline, every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you are reinforcing weakness. The truth is, most people are not weak because they lack ability. They are weak because they have trained themselves to be weak. They have allowed bad habits, distractions, and a lack of self-control to take over their lives. But just as weakness is built, it can also be destroyed. And once it is gone, it can be replaced with something far more powerful, unshakable mental strength. The first step in destroying weakness is to recognize it for what it is. One of the most dangerous things about weakness is that it grows in small moments. It is not always one big decision that ruins discipline. It is the tiny moments where you give in. You wake up and hit the snooze button instead of getting up immediately. You skip a workout because you don't feel like it. You put off an important task because you'll do it later. None of these seem like a big deal in the moment, but they add up. Each small act of weakness reinforces the belief that it is okay to break your own promises. Over time, this creates a mindset of failure, a habit of quitting before you even start. If you want to destroy weakness, you must attack it where it starts. That means changing the small decisions, the everyday moments where you have a choice between strength and comfort. When your alarm goes off, get up immediately. No hesitation, no excuses. When it is time to work out, train with full intensity, no matter how tired you are. When a challenge appears, face it head-on, without fear, without hesitation. These moments are where mental strength is built. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you reinforce strength. Every time you push through resistance, you weaken the grip that laziness has on your mind. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that they need to feel ready before they take action. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect moment. But strength is not built by waiting. Strength is built by doing. The most powerful people in the world do not wait until they feel like it. They act regardless of their emotions. They train when they are tired. They work when they do not want to. They push forward when every part of them wants to quit. That is what separates the strong from the weak. The weak make decisions based on their emotions. The strong make decisions based on their commitment. Rebuilding mental strength is a process, and it requires a total shift in mindset. You have to stop looking for the easy way out. You have to stop expecting things to be comfortable. Weak people always want shortcuts. They want results without sacrifice. They want success without struggle. But the truth is, the strongest people are the ones who have suffered the most. They are the ones who have faced hardship, embraced pain, and kept going when others quit. Every time you push through something difficult, you are proving to yourself that you are stronger than your emotions, stronger than your doubts, stronger than your excuses. One of the best ways to eliminate weakness is to create a daily challenge for yourself. Pick something difficult, something that forces you out of your comfort zone, and do it every day. It could be waking up at 4 a.m., taking cold showers, running 5 miles, or fasting for 24 hours. The point is not just the action itself, but the discipline it builds. When you train your mind to embrace discomfort, you become unbreakable. You stop fearing hard work. You stop looking for an easy way out. You become someone who does what needs to be done, no matter what. Weakness is a disease, but discipline is the cure. The problem is, most people do not even try to cure it. They live their entire lives avoiding difficulty, making excuses, and running from anything that requires effort. That is why they stay weak. That is why they stay stuck. If you do not take control of your own mind, weakness will take control for you. So ask yourself, where are you letting weakness control your life? What excuses are you making? What habits are holding you back? Are you someone who quits when things get hard, or are you someone who keeps going? The answers to these questions will determine your future. Because at the end of the day, it is not about what you say, it is about what you do. If you truly want to rebuild mental strength, you have to commit. You have to be willing to suffer. You have to be willing to push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. And when you do, you will realize something powerful. You were never weak to begin with. You were just letting weakness win. But now you know the truth. Now you have a choice. Will you continue making excuses, or will you take back control? Will you stay weak, or will you rebuild yourself into something unstoppable? The decision is yours. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you create, something you build through repetition, through structure, through daily habits that become so ingrained in your identity that they are no longer a choice. They are simply who you are. The most disciplined people in the world, whether they are elite athletes, military commanders, or high-level entrepreneurs, all have one thing in common. They do not leave their discipline to chance. They do not rely on motivation. They do not wait to feel like it. Instead, they have built a system, a set of daily rituals that keep them on track no matter what. If you look at the greatest performers in any field, you will see the same patterns. They wake up at the same time every day. They train their bodies and minds with absolute intensity. They follow strict rules about how they work, how they eat, how they think, how physical training is another non-negotiable habit of the most disciplined individuals. Warriors, athletes, CEOs, special forces soldiers. They all train their bodies like their lives depend on it. And in many cases, their lives do depend on it. But even for those who are not in life or death situations, the act of pushing yourself physically builds a mindset that translates into every other area of life. Training is not just about getting stronger or looking better. It is about proving to yourself every single day that you have control over your body, your mind, your willpower. Some of the most successful and disciplined people in the world follow strict personal rules about how they operate. These are not just random habits. They are intentional guidelines that eliminate distractions and keep them focused on their mission. Some refuse to touch their phones in the morning, understanding that social media and notifications are designed to hijack their attention. Others limit their decisions by wearing the same type of clothes every day, following the philosophy that fewer choices mean more mental energy for what truly matters. One of the most powerful things you can do to build discipline is to set your own non-negotiable rules. Most people live by external rules, what their job requires, what society expects. But truly disciplined individuals create their own standards and hold themselves accountable to them, even when no one is watching. That is the difference between average and elite. Routine is the backbone of discipline. The strongest people do not leave their days to chance. They do not wake up and see how they feel about working out or whether they are in the mood to get things done. They have already decided. Their days are planned, structured, executed with precision. And this structure is what keeps them moving forward even when they do not feel like it, even when motivation is nowhere to be found. Most people fail at discipline because they make too many decisions throughout the day. Should I go to the gym today? Should I eat healthy or grab fast food? Should I work on my goals or just relax? The more choices you give yourself, the more likely you are to choose the easy way out. But the most disciplined people remove the option to quit. They automate their success by creating systems where discipline is the default setting, not the exception. Creating your own rituals is not about copying what someone else does. It is about finding the habits that will make you stronger, more focused, more unstoppable. Start with the basics. Set a consistent wake-up time. Establish a morning routine that puts you in control from the moment you open your eyes. Decide when and how you will train your body, and never negotiate with yourself about it. Plan your work hours and remove distractions so that when it is time to focus, you execute without hesitation. Discipline is built through repetition. At first, these rituals may feel difficult. Waking up early may be a struggle. Training may feel exhausting. Sticking to a routine may feel restrictive. But over time, something changes. What once felt hard becomes automatic. What once required effort becomes effortless. And that is the point. Discipline is not just about doing difficult things. It is about rewiring your mind so that what was once difficult becomes your new normal. Most people will never commit to discipline Because it requires sacrifice. It requires stepping away from distractions, from instant gratification, from the comfort of mediocrity. But for those who do commit, the rewards are undeniable. Success is not about luck or talent. It is about consistency, about showing up every single day, about doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. So ask yourself, what are your rituals? What habits define your daily life? Are they making you stronger, more disciplined, more focused? Or are they keeping you stuck in the same cycles of procrastination and weakness? Because whether you realize it or not, every single day you are reinforcing habits, either habits of discipline or habits of failure. The choice is yours. Your mind is the command center of your entire life. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every habit you build is controlled by the way you think. If you do not have full control over your mind, then you do not have full control over your life. And this is where most people fail. They try to change their actions without first changing their thoughts. They try to force discipline without first building the mindset that makes discipline effortless. But the truth is, if you want absolute self-control, you must first reprogram your mind. Most people do not realize how much of their thinking is shaped by external influences. From the moment they wake up, they are bombarded by notifications, social media, advertisements, entertainment, and the expectations of others. The first step to reprogramming your mind is to understand that your thoughts create your reality. Every action you take starts with a thought. If your mind is filled with weak thoughts, thoughts of doubt, procrastination, excuses, then your actions will reflect that weakness. But if your mind is filled with strong thoughts, thoughts of resilience, focus, determination, then your actions will reflect that strength. The problem is, most people let their thoughts run on autopilot. They do not question the beliefs they have about themselves. They do not challenge the excuses their mind creates. They simply accept their thoughts as truth. But the strongest people do not let their minds control them. They take control of their minds. One of the most powerful ways to reprogram your mind is through visualization. This is not about wishful thinking or daydreaming. This is about training your brain to see yourself as the disciplined, focused, unstoppable person you want to become. Studies have shown that the brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. This means that when you visualize yourself waking up early without hesitation, pushing through difficult workouts, executing your tasks with precision, and staying disciplined even when life gets hard, you are strengthening the neural pathways that make those actions easier in real life. The more you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, the more natural it becomes to act that way. But visualization alone is not enough. You must also reprogram your mind through affirmations, through the words you tell yourself every single day. Most people repeat the wrong affirmations without realizing it. They tell themselves, "I am not disciplined. I always procrastinate. I am bad at focusing." And then they wonder why they keep failing. They are reinforcing weakness with their own words. But if you want absolute self-control, you must speak to yourself like a disciplined person. You must tell yourself, "I always do what needs to be done. I thrive under pressure. I am in complete control of my actions." At first, it may feel strange, but over time, these words become beliefs, and beliefs become reality. Another powerful method to rewire your brain for discipline is through self-imposed challenges. Most people avoid hardship. They seek comfort, ease, and convenience, and as a result, they stay weak. But disciplined individuals do the opposite. They intentionally put themselves in difficult situations to train their minds to handle discomfort. This is why elite military units push their soldiers through brutal training. This is why successful athletes train beyond exhaustion. This is why great entrepreneurs work harder than anyone else. They understand that struggle is not something to avoid. It is something to seek out because it builds strength. If you want to develop absolute self-control, start setting daily challenges for yourself. Wake up earlier than usual and resist the urge to hit snooze. Take cold showers to train your mind to handle discomfort. Push yourself in the gym past the point where you normally stop. Go an entire day without checking social media to prove to yourself that you are not controlled by distractions. Do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Every time you complete a challenge, you are reinforcing the belief that you are disciplined, that you are in control, that you do not give in to weakness. And the more you reinforce that belief, the more it becomes your reality. Exposure to hardship is one of the fastest ways to rewire the brain. Most people avoid pain, but pain is the greatest teacher. When you voluntarily expose yourself to discomfort, whether it is through intense training, fasting, mental challenges, or pushing yourself beyond your limits, you are rewiring your brain to see struggle not as something to fear, but as something to embrace. Over time, this builds mental resilience, making you stronger in every area of life. You stop fearing difficulty because you have trained yourself to thrive in it. The final step in reprogramming your mind for discipline is to change the way you think about failure. Most people fear failure because they see it as proof that they are not good enough. But disciplined individuals see failure as feedback. They understand that every setback is a lesson, every mistake is a teacher, and every challenge is an opportunity to grow. If you want absolute self-control, you must shift your mindset. Instead of seeing obstacles as reasons to quit, see them as chances to prove your strength. Instead of seeing discomfort as suffering, see it as training. Instead of seeing failure as the end, see it as the beginning of your next level. Now ask yourself, are you truly in control of your mind? Or are you letting weak thoughts, excuses, and distractions dictate your life? Are you training your brain for discipline, or are you reinforcing habits of procrastination and failure? Most people will never take the time to reprogram their minds because it requires effort. It requires awareness. It requires doing the hard work of changing the way you think. But those who do, those who commit to mastering their thoughts, their actions, their discipline, they become unstoppable. Discipline is not just about what you do, it is about who you become. And the person you become is determined by the thoughts you allow to shape your mind. So take control. Reprogram your brain for strength, for focus, for absolute self-mastery. Because once you control your mind, you control everything. Pain is the ultimate test of discipline. It is the force that separates the weak from the strong, the ordinary from the extraordinary. Think about the last time you experienced real discomfort. Not the mild inconvenience of waiting in traffic or dealing with a difficult coworker, but actual, deep discomfort. The kind that makes you question whether you can keep going. Maybe it was pushing yourself past exhaustion in the gym. Maybe it was waking up at 4 a.m. to work on your dream when no one was watching. Maybe it was resisting the urge to indulge in a bad habit that had controlled you for years. In that moment, you had a choice. You could give in and take the easy path, or you could push forward, endure the pain, and come out stronger. Most people choose the easy way out, and that is why they never grow. But if you want unshakable discipline, if you want to become unstoppable, then you must rewire your mind to embrace pain rather than avoid it. Because pain is not your enemy, it is your greatest weapon. Elite military units, world-class athletes, and top performers in every field understand this principle better than anyone. They intentionally expose themselves to extreme levels of discomfort, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they know that struggle is the price of greatness. Navy SEALs go through Hell Week, an unrelenting, brutal training phase designed to push them to their absolute physical and mental limits. Sleep deprivation, freezing cold water, endless miles of running, carrying heavy loads, all of it serves one purpose: to weed out the weak and forge the strong. Only those who embrace the pain, who refuse to quit no matter how much their body screams for relief, make it through. Athletes do the same. They train for hours when their body is exhausted, when their muscles are burning, when every part of them is telling them to stop. They know that pushing through that moment of extreme discomfort is what separates champions from everyone else. The greats don't stop when they're tired. They stop when they're done. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you truly tested your limits? When was the last time you intentionally stepped into discomfort to sharpen your discipline? If the answer is never, then you are leaving strength on the table. Because pain, when used correctly, is one of the most powerful tools for building mental and physical resilience. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to build discipline through discomfort is physical training. Strength training, endurance running, cold exposure. These are all tools that not only build physical toughness, but also rewire the mind for discipline. When you force yourself to complete that extra rep, when you run an extra mile even though your legs are burning, when you take a freezing cold shower even when your body wants warmth, you are sending a message to your brain. I am in control. Not my emotions, not my desires, not my weaknesses. Me. Another powerful method is fasting. Most people have never experienced real hunger because they have been conditioned to eat whenever they feel the slightest discomfort. But fasting teaches you something profound. You do not need immediate gratification. You are not controlled by your impulses. When you fast, you are training your mind to resist temptation, to endure discomfort, to take control over something as basic as food. And if you can control your hunger, what else can you control? Your cravings, your habits, your emotions, everything. Mental challenges are just as important. Sitting in absolute silence without checking your phone. Reading an extremely difficult book that forces you to focus and think deeply. Pushing yourself to work for long hours without distractions. These small but powerful acts of discomfort sharpen the mind in ways that most people will never understand. Because discipline is not just about what you do physically. It is about the way you train your mind to function under stress, under pressure, under difficulty. The key to making discomfort your ally is to make it a daily habit. Do not wait for life to test you. Test yourself. Set challenges every day that force you out of your comfort zone. It does not have to be extreme at first. Start small. Wake up an hour earlier than usual. Take a cold shower for just 30 seconds. Push yourself an extra 10% in your workouts. Skip a meal and sit with the feeling of hunger instead of running to the fridge. Over time, these small acts of discomfort add up, and before you know it, you will have built a mind that thrives in struggle rather than fears it. Most people will never understand this. They will continue chasing comfort, avoiding pain, and wondering why they never achieve their goals. But those who seek out discomfort, who embrace pain as a tool for growth, will become unstoppable. Because discipline is not built when things are easy. It is built in the fire, in the struggle, in the moments when everything in you wants to quit, but you push forward anyway. Willpower is often misunderstood. Most people believe that some individuals are simply born with more self-control, more discipline, and more resilience than others. But the truth is, willpower is not something you either have or you don't. It is a skill. It is a muscle. And just like any muscle, it can be trained, strengthened, and developed over time. The reason most people struggle with self-discipline is not because they lack the ability. It's because they've never trained their willpower properly. Think about a bodybuilder. If someone walks into a gym for the first time and tries to lift heavy weights, they will fail. Their muscles are not yet strong enough. But does that mean they are weak forever? Of course not. If they train consistently, if they push their limits every day, their strength will grow. The same principle applies to willpower. If you have never trained your self-control, if you have never practiced delaying gratification, if you have always given in to temptation the moment it appears, then of course your willpower will be weak. But if you make the decision to start training it, if you commit to strengthening it like a muscle, you will become a completely different person. The key to training willpower is understanding that it is not infinite. Many people assume that they should have unlimited self-control at all times, and when they fail, they feel weak. But studies show that willpower is like a battery. It drains throughout the day based on how often you use it. Every time you resist temptation, every time you push through discomfort, every time you make a difficult choice instead of an easy one, you are using up mental energy. But just like a muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it gets. The best way to build willpower is through small, daily challenges. Most people fail at discipline because they try to make massive changes overnight. They decide they are going to wake up at 4 a.m., run 5 miles, quit junk food, read for 3 hours a day, and work non-stop, all at once. This never works. Just like a beginner in the gym cannot lift heavy weights immediately, you cannot expect to go from zero discipline to complete mastery in one day. The key is to start small and build gradually. Begin with minor challenges that push you just outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it is resisting the urge to check your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe it is taking a cold shower for 30 seconds. Maybe it is skipping dessert when you really want it. These are small tests of willpower, but they add up. Every time you resist an impulse, every time you force yourself to do something difficult, you are strengthening the part of your brain responsible for self-control. Over time, your ability to push through discomfort will become second nature. One of the most powerful ways to train willpower is by practicing delayed gratification. This is the ability to resist short-term pleasure in exchange for long-term reward. Every highly successful person in history has mastered this skill. Athletes do not train because they enjoy pain. They do it because they know the reward of victory is greater than the temporary discomfort of practice. Entrepreneurs do not work long hours because they enjoy exhaustion. They do it because they know financial freedom is worth the sacrifice. The difference between successful people and everyone else is simple. They are willing to suffer now in order to win later. But most people do the opposite. They seek comfort now and they pay for it later. They eat junk food because it feels good in the moment and they suffer the consequences of poor health. They skip workouts because rest feels better than effort, and they live with the regret of a weak body. They waste hours on distractions because it is easier than working on their goals, and they spend their lives wondering why they never achieved anything great. The ability to delay gratification is the key to everything: success, strength, power, mastery. If you can teach yourself to resist small temptations every day, you will build the discipline to take control of every part of your life. One of the simplest ways to practice delayed gratification is through fasting. Food is one of the most basic human desires, and learning to control it will teach you to control everything else. Try skipping breakfast and pushing your first meal later into the day. Most people will never do this. They will continue letting their emotions, impulses, and cravings control them. They will continue searching for motivation instead of developing discipline. They will continue wondering why they are stuck, why they can never follow through on their goals, why they always feel weak when faced with temptation. But those who understand the truth, that willpower is a muscle, that self-control is trainable, that discipline is built through small challenges every day, these are the ones who will rise above. So ask yourself right now, are you training your willpower or are you letting it weaken? Are you taking control of your impulses or are you allowing them to control you? The answer to these questions will determine whether you stay average or become something greater. The good news is that you do not have to be perfect. You do not have to wake up tomorrow and be the most disciplined person alive. All you have to do is start. Pick one challenge, one small test of willpower, one moment where you say no to an impulse that would normally control you. Do that today, then do it again tomorrow, then the next day. And before you know it, you will have built a level of self-control that most people will never achieve. Because discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you train. It is something you earn. And if you are willing to put in the work, if you are willing to push yourself past what is comfortable, if you are willing to make the hard choices every single day, you will develop a willpower so strong that nothing in the world will be able to break you. Most people approach discipline the wrong way. They treat it like a temporary effort, something they do when they feel inspired, something they attempt for a few weeks before slipping back into their old ways. This is why they fail. They see discipline as an action, not an identity. They think discipline is something they must force themselves to do rather than something they must become. But true discipline is not about willpower alone. It is not about forcing yourself to do hard things. It is about redefining who you are at the core. Because when discipline becomes your identity, you no longer rely on motivation, emotions, or external circumstances to determine your actions. You do what needs to be done because that is simply who you are. Think about the difference between someone who says, "I am trying to be disciplined," and someone who says, "I am disciplined." The first person sees discipline as an effort, a struggle, something they are attempting but not yet fully committed to. They still allow the possibility of failure. The second person has made it their identity. There is no question, no hesitation, no debate. A disciplined person does not ask themselves if they feel like working out, waking up early, or staying focused. They just do it, because it is who they are. This is why some people seem to have superhuman levels of self-control, while others struggle with even the smallest challenges. It is not about talent, genetics, or luck. It is about identity. If you see yourself as someone who is inconsistent, easily distracted, or lacking discipline, then that is exactly what you will be. Your mind will find ways to prove that identity true. You will make excuses. You will procrastinate. You will sabotage yourself without even realizing it. But if you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, relentless, and unshakable, you will naturally act in alignment with that identity. You will push through discomfort without hesitation. You will do hard things without second-guessing yourself. You will become the kind of person who never backs down from a challenge. Throughout history, the greatest leaders, warriors, and visionaries all had one thing in common. Discipline was their identity. They did not wait for motivation. They did not make decisions based on feelings. They lived by a strict code, a personal standard that guided their every action. Look at Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher who practiced Stoicism. His entire philosophy was built on discipline, self-control, and unwavering focus. He did not allow emotions or desires to dictate his actions. He trained himself to act with purpose, no matter how he felt. Look at Jocko Willink, the former Navy SEAL commander who preaches extreme discipline. He does not wake up at 4:30 a.m. every day because he enjoys it. He does it because that is who he is. His identity is discipline, and because of that, he never negotiates with himself. He does not give in to weakness because his mindset will not allow it. The same principle applies to elite athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists. Kobe Bryant did not wait until he felt inspired to practice. He showed up every day before the sun rose because that was his identity. Elon Musk does not rely on motivation to work 100-hour weeks. He does it because he sees himself as someone who relentlessly pursues his vision, no matter the cost. These individuals do not succeed because they have more talent or intelligence than everyone else. They succeed because they have built an identity that demands success. Next, prove it to yourself through action. Every time you follow through on a commitment, no matter how small, you reinforce the identity of a disciplined person. Wake up when your alarm goes off instead of hitting snooze. Complete your workout, even when you don't feel like it. Stay focused on your work instead of giving in to distractions. Every choice you make either strengthens or weakens your identity. Make the right choices consistently, and soon, discipline will no longer be something you force yourself to do. It will be who you are. Finally, eliminate the option of failure. Most people give themselves an easy way out. They say things like, "I will try my best," or "I'll see how it goes." But if you truly commit to discipline as your identity, failure is not an option. It is not something you consider. You do what needs to be done, period. This is the mindset of the world's highest achievers. There is no debate, no negotiation, no room for weakness. Ask yourself right now, what is your identity? Do you see yourself as someone who is weak, inconsistent, and undisciplined? Or do you see yourself as someone who is strong, relentless, and in complete control? If you want to change your life, you must change the way you see yourself. Because once discipline becomes your identity, you will no longer need motivation. You will no longer struggle with self-control. You will simply act in alignment with who you are. Most people will never do this. They will continue relying on motivation, waiting for the right moment, making excuses when things get hard. But a few will understand the truth. A few will commit to becoming the type of person who does not need motivation, because their identity will not allow them to fail. And those few will be the ones who achieve what most people can only dream of. So the question is, which one will you be? Will you continue trying, hoping, and struggling? Or will you decide right now that from this moment forward, discipline is not just something you do, it is who you are? Most people do not realize the cost of living an undisciplined life until it is too late. They drift through life, choosing comfort over challenge, pleasure over responsibility, and distraction over purpose. At first, it seems like nothing is wrong. Skipping one workout does not make you weak overnight. Procrastinating on one task does not destroy your productivity immediately. Eating junk food one time does not ruin your health. But discipline is not lost all at once. It fades slowly, one small decision at a time. And before you know it, you wake up one day, look at yourself in the mirror, and wonder how you became this person. You wonder why you feel stuck, why you lack energy, why you are not where you want to be. The answer is simple. An undisciplined life does not just keep you from success, it pulls you into failure. The truth is, everything in life is either moving forward or falling apart. There is no standing still. If you are not actively strengthening your mind, your body, and your habits, then you are getting weaker without even realizing it. Think about the people who refuse to develop discipline. At first, they enjoy the comfort of their choices. They sleep in, they indulge in distractions, they avoid hard work. But over time, those small decisions add up. The man who refuses to train his body does not stay the same. He becomes weaker, more sluggish, more out of shape. The person who avoids financial discipline does not just maintain their situation. They slowly drown in debt, stress, and lack of options. The one who never disciplines their mind becomes easily manipulated, constantly distracted, and unable to focus on anything meaningful. An undisciplined life is a slow decay. It is the path of least resistance, and that path leads nowhere. Look around, and you will see the evidence everywhere. People who ignored discipline in their health now suffer from disease, obesity, and chronic pain. People who ignored financial discipline now live paycheck to paycheck, stressed and trapped. People who never developed mental discipline now find themselves unable to focus, always searching for motivation, but never taking real action. These people are not victims of bad luck. They are victims of their own choices. Regret is the price of undisciplined living, and it is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. There is nothing worse than looking back on your life and realizing that you could have been more, done more, achieved more, but you did not. Not because you were incapable, but because you were unwilling to do what was necessary. Most people do not realize this until they reach the later stages of their lives. They look back and see all the wasted time, all the missed opportunities, all the moments where they should have acted, but did not. Discipline is not a luxury. It is not something that only a select few need to master. It is necessary for survival and success. Without discipline, you cannot build a strong body, a sharp mind, or a stable future. Without discipline, your life is at the mercy of circumstances, emotions, and other people's decisions. The person who lacks discipline is like a boat without a rudder, drifting wherever the current takes them, unable to control their own direction. One of the most dangerous aspects of an undisciplined life is how it affects not just you, but everyone around you. If you lack discipline, your family, your friends, and your community will suffer. The father who lacks discipline sets a weak example for his children, teaching them bad habits that will follow them for life. The leader who lacks discipline fails to guide and protect the people who depend on them. The worker who lacks discipline becomes unreliable, missing opportunities that could have changed their future. Look at the most successful and respected people in history. Do you think they got there by accident? Do you think they stumbled into greatness while being lazy, distracted, and unmotivated? No. They built themselves through discipline, through relentless commitment to their goals. They understood that every decision, every habit, and every action either moves them closer to greatness or pulls them further away from it. They refused to live in a way that would lead to regret. Now, think about your own life. Are you living in a way that your future self will thank you for? Or are you making decisions that your future self will resent? Are you building discipline today, or are you choosing comfort and setting yourself up for regret? The truth is, you already know the answer. If you have ever felt frustration with where you are in life, if you have ever wished you were further along, if you have ever looked at successful people and wondered why you are not there yet, then you already know what is missing. It is discipline. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about making the right choices more often than not. It is about recognizing that every action has consequences, and that success is built on small, consistent efforts repeated over time. It is about realizing that your life, your future, and your potential are entirely in your hands. You can choose discipline now, or you can face the consequences of an undisciplined life later. There is no escaping this truth. Most people will ignore this message. They will continue living as they always have, hoping that things will somehow change without effort. But a few will understand. A few will make the choice to stop making excuses and start taking control. A few will decide that they will not be among the weak, the lazy, and the regretful. They will build the discipline that others refuse to, and because of that, they will achieve what others never will. The question is, which group will you belong to? Will you continue down the path of comfort, distractions, and regret? Or will you take responsibility for your life and commit to the path of discipline, strength, and success? The choice is yours, and the consequences are real. Decide now, because your future is being built in this very moment. Most people talk about wanting more discipline, but few ever take action. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect mindset. But the truth is, the only way to build discipline is to start now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when life becomes more convenient. Discipline is built through action, not intention. That is why this challenge exists. It is not just an idea. It is a test. A test to see if you are truly ready to take control of your life, to push past your limits, and to transform yourself into someone stronger than you were yesterday. For the next 30 days, you will commit to a level of discipline that most people will never experience. No more excuses. No more waiting for motivation. No more allowing distractions and bad habits to control you. This challenge is designed to rewire your brain, to force you to operate on a higher level, and to prove to yourself what you are truly capable of. Here is the plan. Every day, without exception, you will follow a strict set of rules designed to build unbreakable discipline. First, you will wake up early. Not when you feel like it, not when your alarm goes off for the third time, early and without hesitation. The moment your alarm sounds, you get out of bed immediately. No snooze button, no extra 5 minutes. This single action sets the tone for the rest of your day. If you start your day with discipline, you carry that discipline into everything else you do. Next, you will train your body. Every single day, you will push yourself physically, whether it is lifting weights, running, calisthenics, or some other form of intense exercise. Your body must be tested, challenged, and strengthened. If you are not pushing your physical limits, you are allowing yourself to stay weak. And weakness has no place in this challenge. Training daily is not just about building muscle or endurance. It is about proving to yourself that you can do hard things, even when you do not feel like it. The third rule is absolute control over what you consume. No junk food, no processed garbage, no excessive sugar. You eat for performance, not for pleasure. Every bite of food must serve a purpose, to fuel your body, to sharpen your mind, to keep you operating at your highest level. If you cannot control what you put in your body, how can you expect to control anything else in your life? Eliminating distractions is the next rule. That means no mindless scrolling on social media, no wasting hours on entertainment that does not serve you, no meaningless distractions that steal your time and weaken your focus. Every moment of your day should be spent either working toward your goal. You will also take on something most people run from: deliberate discomfort. That means cold showers to train your resilience, fasting to develop self-control, and daily challenges that push you beyond what you think you are capable of. Growth does not happen in comfort. Strength is not built in ease. If you want to develop unbreakable discipline, you must be willing to suffer for it. At the end of each day, you will reflect on your progress. No lying to yourself, no avoiding the truth. You will write down what you did well, where you struggled, and what you need to improve. Discipline is about accountability, and the only way to stay accountable is to track your actions. For 30 days, you will live by these rules. No exceptions, no excuses. Every single day is a test. Some days will be easy, but most will not. You will wake up tired, sore, unmotivated. You will have moments where your mind tells you to quit, to take it easy, to skip a step. But that is exactly the point. This challenge is not about comfort. It is about breaking the version of yourself that settles for less, that gives in to weakness, that is controlled by emotions instead of purpose. If you commit fully to these 30 days, you will see a transformation, not just physically, but mentally. You will develop an edge, a level of control that most people will never have. You will realize that discipline is not something you are born with, but something you train. And once you train it, you will never look at life the same way again. Most people will hear about this challenge and do nothing. They will come up with reasons why it is too difficult, too restrictive, too inconvenient. They will continue waiting for the perfect time to start, and that time will never come. But a few, just a few, will take action. A few will push through the resistance, fight through the discomfort, and emerge from these 30 days as entirely different people. The question is, which one will you be? Will you stay the same, or will you prove to yourself that you are capable of more? The choice is yours, but remember this: if you cannot commit to 30 days, how can you expect to control the rest of your life? Most people talk about wanting to change their lives, but when it comes down to it, they never follow through. They love the idea of discipline, of strength, of mastery, but they are unwilling to do what it takes. The reality is that discipline is not something you try for a few weeks, hoping for a quick transformation. It is a way of life. It is a permanent commitment to operating at a higher standard every single day, no matter what. So the question is, can you commit to this permanently? Not for 30 days, not for a year, not until you feel like you have reached a comfortable level, but for life. Can you wake up every day with the mindset that discipline is your foundation, that there is no other option, that from this moment forward, you will never allow yourself to slip back into weakness? Most people will not. They will get inspired for a few moments, maybe even take action for a short period, but then life will test them. They will get tired. They will get busy. They will have a setback, and instead of pushing through, they will return to their old ways. They will convince themselves that discipline is too restrictive, that life should be about balance, that they deserve to take it easy. And just like that, they will lose everything they worked for. Because discipline, once broken, is difficult to rebuild. Once you allow excuses back into your life, they multiply. One skipped workout turns into a week of inactivity. One moment of laziness becomes a habit of procrastination. One small compromise becomes a downward spiral back into mediocrity. But those who choose discipline truly choose it, never face this problem. They understand that discipline is not about short-term gains or temporary sacrifices. It is about becoming someone different. Someone who does not rely on motivation, who does not negotiate with weakness, who does not allow the world to dictate their actions. They become people who move with absolute certainty, who control their time, their emotions, their habits, and their future. And the key to all of this, making the decision now, not later, not after thinking about it, not when life gets easier, right now, because there will never be a perfect moment to commit. If you wait for everything to align, you will wait forever. Discipline is a choice that must be made in the present, in the face of resistance, when every part of you is looking for an easier way. Ask yourself this: if you do not commit to discipline today, when will you? Next week? Next year? When your situation changes? When you have more time? These are the lies people tell themselves. This is your final test, because right now you have a choice. You can either close this video, go back to your old habits, and let everything you just learned fade away. Or you can draw a line in the sand and say, "This is it. I will not go back. I will not make excuses. I will not stop." Most people will take the easy way out. They will rationalize why now is not the right time. But a few will take this seriously. A few will commit fully and permanently. And those few will never be the same again. Which one will you be? There comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide who they are going to be, not who they were yesterday, not who they hope to be someday, but who they are right now. This is that moment. Everything you have learned up to this point has led you here, and now you stand at the edge of transformation. The final step is to take everything you have learned and turn it into a permanent way of life. No more second guessing. No more hesitation. No more waiting for the right time. You must become a machine of self-mastery. Once you master discipline, you master your future. Because discipline is the foundation of success in every area of life. It is the reason some people rise while others stay stuck. It is the difference between those who control their destiny and those who are controlled by their emotions, their environment, and their excuses. Everything you want, strength, success, confidence, power, it all starts with discipline. And once you have it, no one can take it away from you. Look around at the people who struggle. Look at the ones who never seem to make progress, who stay in the same cycle of failure and frustration. What do they all have in common? A lack of discipline. They start things but never finish. They get excited about change but never follow through. They live by their feelings instead of by their principles. And because of that, they remain stuck, never breaking free, never reaching their potential. But that does not have to be you. Right now, you have the opportunity to step up and take control of your life in a way most people never will. You have the power to wake up every day and move with absolute certainty, knowing that no matter what happens, no matter what obstacles come your way, you will not break, you will not quit, and you will not let weakness win. That is what it means to become a machine of self-mastery. A person who does not rely on motivation, but acts with discipline. A person who does not give in to distractions, but stays locked in on their mission. A person who does not wait for the perfect moment, but takes action, no matter what. Most people will never reach this level. They will hear this message, feel inspired for a few minutes, and then go back to their old habits. They will tell themselves they will change tomorrow, next week, or next year. But a few will make the decision today. A few will commit to never letting weakness win again. And those few will become unstoppable. Which one will you be? Will you be like the majority, who live in cycles of excuses and regret? Or will you be one of the few who takes control, who builds discipline, who refuses to be anything less than their full potential? The choice is yours. But understand this: every second you wait, every moment you hesitate, is a moment lost. You cannot afford to let another day go by living below your potential.